It's time for another Heritage Montgomery Civil War moment. We left off with Confederate Jeb Stuart's raid on Rockville in the summer of 1863. Once the general left Montgomery County, he joined a major battle already in progress. Here's Barbara Grunbaum with more.
During the first 3 days of July 1863, Generals Robert E. Lee and George Meade met at the Battle of Gettysburg. Fierce fighting raged on the land surrounding this little Pennsylvania town. In the end, Meade's army held off Lee and his men, ending their invasion of the North. This 3-day battle resulted in approximately 51,000 American casualties, the most of any battle in the American Civil War. Also in July of that year, African Americans in Maryland began to be recruited into the Union Army. Slaveholders here objected because they wanted compensation for their property. Loyalists were appeased with $300 per person. When black soldiers discovered their pay was less than their white counterparts, recruitment fell dramatically. In the end, more than 8,700 black men from Maryland enlisted in the 6 regiments of the U.S. colored troops. Even though the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed into law in January of 1863, it didn't change things here in Maryland. Only the states that had seceded from the Union had to comply. That meant plantations run on slave labor could continue in our area. This 3-room cabin in Brookville was once a part of William Magruder's plantation. He reportedly owned 19 slaves. Some most likely lived here. After the Civil War, this dwelling continued to be occupied by tenant farmers. Today, it's known as Oakley Cabin African American Museum and Park. On November 13, 1863, a historic speech was delivered.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and
Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address not only honored those who lost their lives in that battle, but also helped redefine the purpose of the war. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Barbara Grunbaum.
Barbara will return with another Civil War moment later in the year, this one focusing on Confederate General Jeb Stuart's raid on Washington during the summer of 1864.